Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Courtside with Beilinson Tennis, part of the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. Tonight, we are privileged to have Chief Tennis Officer and Tournament Director at Universal Tennis, often referred to as UTR, Stephen Amritraj, to discuss the recently announced 3-year UTR Pro Tennis Series Tour. Stephen, thanks so much for spending time with me talking about this and talking about all the amazing things UTR has been doing as of late. They've been awesome.
Thanks so much, Dave. Thanks for having me today as well.
Hey, before we get into the details of this Pro Tennis Series Tour, just want to make sure, again, crazy times. UTR has just done an amazing job since this pandemic started. You and the family and everyone doing okay?
We're doing well. Everything going well over here. I hope everything's going well for you as well. I think it's all something that we're trying to, stay safe with. Obviously, it's altered a few of our businesses, a few of our lives, everyone's lives, and just what we do. But, thankfully, everyone that I know has been staying safe so far.
Agreed. So, you guys have so much going on right now. I'll mention I love the All Access series that you guys did. I would say pretty close to when the pandemic started. You did it kind of in the spring and into the early summer, I believe. That was so cool. Have the stars share their stories with everyone. Now, you've recently announced this UTR Pro Tennis Series Tour. How did it come about? Talk about how this all came into play.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for your feedback on the All Access series. I think it was, obviously a response to everything being shut down. That was in April of this year, and it was right after Indian Wells and Miami got canceled. And, I think that we saw that obviously have trickle-down effect to all levels. And, it was just the height of uncertainty with tennis at that point. We really wanted to go out and try to create educational content for, our core market, which is really this junior to collegiate player. So we hope that it was valuable, but I know that I had heard feedback from all levels and coaches saying how they really enjoyed it. So I'm happy that you did as well. Anyway, our UTR Pro Tennis Series that we've, just released last week is actually really an expansion on something that we started earlier this summer. We'd started out with the UTR Pro Tennis Series in really a backyard in Florida. I think that you may have seen that match. It was those matches as part of the reopen tour on Tennis Channel with our partners there. That was just phenomenal. It was shot in a different way. The cameras were zoomed in really intimately behind the court, so you could see the spins on a Riley Opelka serve. It was really done in a forward-thinking manner to try to move tennis forward. And with that, we've kind of tried to bring that foresight and forward-thinking manner to really the developmental tour. We started out after the events in West Palm Beach with the UTR Pro Tennis Series in Australia, and it was run in conjunction with Tennis Australia through July and August. That really got their domestic players, their domestic pros, the ability to have matches continue to improve, the ability to be match tough, and obviously earn money to basically sustain themselves through this difficult time. It was played with no fans. It was played with the format that is a kind of a World Cup format where there's group stages leading into playoff rounds. And it actually really kind of made some of their players have, the kind of baseline for success going forward. One of the players that played in all of them was a guy named Alexander Vukic, who actually played at the University of Illinois, but he actually went from the UTR Pro Tennis Series in Australia and then qualified for Roland Garros. Obviously, being match tough at a time where it's difficult to be match tough was an advantage, and he took advantage of it. What we released on Monday of this week was the expansion of the UTR Pro Tennis Series into the U.S. with over 40 events next year, with prize money totaling up to $1 million. And this is something that we're just so excited to do. We worked in conjunction with the USTA to create a calendar that can really maximize opportunities for the players that are eligible for the series from 200 to 2,000. And really when putting it together, we had looked at the impact of what COVID has done to, the tennis landscape internationally, and how basically we have an amazing product with our algorithm that can put two people on the court, regardless of any travel restrictions, regardless of where they play, and have that result count on an international scale. So by example, there are other tours out there that may need kind of open borders for anyone to be able to play to obtain those to obtain those ranking points. And we actually don't have that, which is we are okay with closed borders because we can facilitate a match between two players of the standard that we're talking about, and then have those results indicated via our algorithm. So with this being said, we thought, hey, let's go forward and really try to do something for the overall good of the sport and get into a market that expands UTR's presence as well. In creating a developmental tour that we're really excited to release.
Yeah. So let me just kind of ask you about a few specific details. So you have to be 200 or higher. If you're under 200, you cannot enter any of these tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, so higher and under is an interesting term, but yeah,
But when
our
I mean
group,
rank number 1 through 199, they cannot enter these tournaments, to be specific.
Yeah, there are play down restrictions for players ranked 1 to 199. So if you're 200 to 2,000 in the world, based on UTR's overall ranking, you are eligible to play in these events. And so I would say that there's about 70 or 80, about 80% overlap between UTR's top 200 to 2,000 and the ATP and WTA's 200 to 2,000. I actually think ours is, I actually know that ours is significantly more accurate at the lower levels, simply because we include results from juniors or college or other sections within tennis. And so this is for those players, and those players who have a dearth of opportunities right now. There have been obviously tournaments at the future and challenger levels that have been canceled. Most of the tournaments that are going on are really for kind of the top 100 players. And so to kind of continue to give opportunities and fill a void, truly, we wanted to go forward and really put our stamp on where we feel like we can be here.
And they're 32 player draws?
Yeah, there are 32 player draws with there are 32 player main draws with an 8-person qualifying.
Okay.
The qualifying goes over one day, and the 32 draw is broken up into group stages, and then kind of where you finish in the group will kind of depend on where you enter the playoff rounds. So, in thinking through this, it's really a lot of matches, which is great for people who want to try to improve and really kind of increase the amount of competition that they have, while at the same time keeping in mind the fact that, look, I think everyone right now would love to have that competition. And so I think that is just another great fit as part of this.
For sure. And then as part of funding these tournaments, the prize money, which is at the end of the day what's most important so the players can put food on table, how is that working?
So the prize money in all these events is a minimum of $20,000, in terms of overall prize money to the players. UTR makes a total financial commitment of $25,000 to both the organizer and the players. And the exciting thing about that is we feel like this is a model that really can sustain players throughout this difficult time. The money in what we have in the singles only draws is actually more than, kind of a regular $25,000 tournament that's out there. So we feel like, hey, look, this is really an opportunity for them to earn a living, or at least try to, stay afloat during these times. UTR has made a big investment to get this series off the ground. We have revenue methods that pretty much all tours have, streaming rights, sponsorship, local investment, all of that. But, in terms of us continuing to, hopefully fill the needs that are out there, we wanted to go forward with this to really, raise the caliber of players who are continually playing in UTR events and hopefully attract new ones going forward.
Yeah. And everyone involved in tennis knows how top heavy the money is. And the age old question is, how are the guys 200, 300, 400, how are they surviving? If they're not, a 17, 18-year-old phenom, they're not getting sponsorships, right? How's the 28-year-old future/challenger tour player still on tour? It's a question I ask myself. How are they able to do it? It's just so expensive with having a coach or traveling. This hopefully solves that problem, because we all want that the prize money to be distributed a little bit more evenly, where it's not so top heavy. So hopefully would be a huge solution for this type of players. And I know you started Florida, California, Las Vegas, South Carolina, all warm weather locations in the new year, which makes perfect sense, right? Would you look to add other locations, colder weather climates? I'm based in Chicago. So colder weather climates, during those summer months, maybe even in certain locations that don't have a pro tournament or a challenger tournament, really look to grow the game that way.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, I think we're open to everything. Obviously, we released the first quarter calendar, or even the first 2 months of the calendar, on Monday, and so we did target warm weather places that, obviously from a facility perspective, wouldn't necessarily incur the cost of being indoors. But yeah, I think that we'd very much be open to a lot going forward. I think that, this is just the first inning of this new venture, and we're so excited about it. And, I'm hoping that it really attracts organizers who are seeing what we're trying to do and want to kind of discuss the potential of working together to really have more and more of these opportunities for players on this level.
Yeah. And one thing that stood out to me, and, you talk, it starts at that 200 ranked player. They're not going to get into, even a main draw of an ATP 250 event. So you don't have to really worry about that, but there could be other challenger future events going on the same time of your tournaments. And now you've solved the cash problem, but as far as ranking points and climbing up the ranking that way, do you see a lot of conflict? If I'm in that 250 range and I have an event that you're hosting, and yet there's a challenger event that I can get into the main draw that has maybe less cash than you guys have, but if I do well in that, I'm going to get some pretty good points.
Sure.
How are you looking at that conflict?
Well, look, I mean, it's a great question. And I think over the last 3 years at UTR, we've been open to partnership and collaboration. And that's quite honestly one of the reasons why we've been, I think, pretty successful and made, kind of put our best foot forward in everything that we've done. Just like that, I know that we would love to, we are, with a desire to be part of the traditional pathway of tennis, that feeds up into the ATP and WTA tours. And, for right now, these tournaments do not have ranking points in it. All the results, they do not have ATP and WTA ranking points in it. All the results do go into UTR, which goes back to, hey, if these players are competing and playing in these events, and really kind of, having those results count to UTR, it's just going to go in to make our algorithm and our metrics stronger and stronger every day. So, on that regard, in terms of what your original question was, players may have to choose if there are challenger or futures events that they can get into, as opposed to the UTR Pro Tennis Series events in the same weeks. But this is going back to my original point of where we collaborated with the USTA on scheduling. We didn't want to put two events in the same geography in the same week. We wanted to basically try to spread them out to the best of our ability to give players, more opportunities to cannibalize player fields in either event. And I think that we've done a pretty good job of that.
For sure. And again, I think everyone would agree, more options, too many options are better than no options at all. So again, shout out to you and everything that UTR has been doing. I mean, the sport is so lucky to have you involved. I mean, your family history in the game is crazy. I mean, your uncle, EJ, top 25 ranking, both singles and doubles, 18 career singles titles, also a quarterfinalist of both Wimbledon and US Open. Your cousin, Prakash, everyone knows him, a familiar face on Tennis Channel. Your dad also played. You're married. Your wife is someone that everyone knows, and Ali Risk. I mean, was this something that you growing up, you didn't have a choice but to be involved in the tennis industry in some way, shape, or form?
Well, I mean, it's humbling when you actually mention all of them. I mean, I think that they, my father and my uncle, were brought to the U.S. from their ability to play the sport well. My grandmother and grandfather got them into it. And I'm really grateful because, it's something that I love. I obviously was drawn to it at a pretty young age. My dad used to kind of bring me around to all the tournaments that he used to play. So I kind of have a very good, I have a pretty good sense of how the inner workings of the tour work and how kind of players think. I saw it myself as a player, as a coach, with the USTA, overseeing college tennis, and then now with UTR, to basically really trying to transform and unify the world on a metric and really build out the support that they need through technology. And it led me to my wife, and I was able to meet her that way and through tennis. And so, the sport's given me so much, and I hope that I can be a small part of what UTR is doing and hopefully giving back to other people.
I'll repeat what I said. The sport is lucky to have you and your family involved.
Thanks.
And, if you can, and I don't know what you're constrained to say, but UTR has been really the leaders in innovation and coming up with all these new ideas, even during a hopefully once in a lifetime global pandemic that we never any of us have to go through again. This Pro Series is just another one of your projects. If you can speak to it, what's out there in the future? What's next? Because it always seems like you have stuff in the pipeline.
Well, we do have a lot in the pipeline, but I think, I think right now we have a commitment to two things. I mean, first and foremost, we have a commitment to safety. And I think that, in our mind, tennis, as I think we've noticed, luckily is a socially distant sport. It's something that I think two players can play safely during a pandemic. We are coming out with products that hopefully increase the ease and flexibility of what all players, can play tennis doing. And so one of our ones that I'm super excited about is our UTR Flex Leagues. So basically these are leagues within metropolitan areas that people of the same level can join and set up a flexible match on their own, set up a time, set up a place, and show up. Each one brings a can of balls, adhere to certain rules and structuring of the event, and play a competitive match and enter that score and have that match count. And what I think the great thing about that is you have your events, of which UTR has over 1,500 per month on the UTR platform. So you can check those out as well if you want kind of a more traditional setting. Some of those may have flexible formats or kind of funky event types or whatever it may be. But this kind of Flex League allows for people to know that they're getting a guaranteed match that's close to their level at an affordable price, and the fact that they can schedule it on their own time. And so I think that that's something that's been missing from tennis. And I'm so excited because having UTR, the algorithm, at the core of all these products similar to this that we are going to build, is really just going to enhance everyone's tennis. I think, we are an across the board solution. So whether you are the competitive junior, whether you are the recreational adult, whether you are the aspiring pro, we are thinking about you, and we are trying to provide solutions to fill the voids that may be there right now.
So great. And I again, Stephen, just want to wish you the best of luck with this new 3-year UTR Pro Tennis Series tour, along with everything else that UTR has been doing. I think I don't speak on just myself. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of others that the sport of tennis is really lucky to have you and the people at UTR involved, because they're just doing an incredible job. So thank you so much. As we end here, just want to wish you, your family, health, safety. Like you said, that's the number one priority. Yeah. But there's some good news with vaccines coming, so hopefully we'll get through this, sooner rather than later. Thanks again, Stephen.
And thank you for having me, Dave. And just know, we appreciate all the work that you do as well, and the whole Tennis Channel Podcast Network. And happy holidays, and I hope that you're staying safe as well.
Thanks, Stephen. Talk soon.